My ambition for the F rating is that it becomes redundant, that we no longer need it, that the stories that we see on screen reflect us, that they're told by women, by people of colour, by disabled people, by LGBT people, and not just by those white, cis, heterosexual, middle-class, middle-aged, able-bodied American men.
Hey, so there are a bunch of news stories from today and yesterday about IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, adding this new F rating system to their website to indicate movies that are written or directed by women or are about women. Think of that what you will, it doesn't really matter, that's not the point. The point is that my first instinct was to go and figure out if this was actually true and to understand the details, and that should have been really easy based on the news coverage, but instead, the news articles were inconsistent and misleading enough that I ended up taking a decent amount of time to get a grasp on the real story and the evidence for it. I chewed up a good chunk of my day. And that's the real issue I want to talk about here, so I thought I would take you along with me through that process, and you know, worst case scenario, you can get an idea of how my bullshit detector works. So I'll go through some of the articles first, I'll just read the important points, and then I'll talk about it some more afterwards. So first, the one that apparently started it all, the BBC article. BBC News, Bath Film Festival's F rating added to online film site IMDb. A feminist film classification created to highlight the lack of women working in the movie industry is now being used on the IMDb film information site. Okay, so far, no hint about whether it's IMDb actually doing this or whether it's users adding some information. The F rating was introduced by Bath Film Festival director Holly Tarquini in 2014 and has been taken up by more than 40 UK cinemas and festivals. IMDb boss Carl Needham, really boss? Founder and CEO, I think is more correct, but he said the F rating is a great way to highlight women on screen and behind the camera. Okay, to who? In what context? Was he justifying getting his employees to add a new feature to the website? Or was he just talking to someone who brought up the idea of the F rating and he said, yeah, sure, that sounds like a good idea. No indication and no mention of the source, even. So there's absolutely no way provided to find out more details about the circumstances under which he said that. Anyway, Ms. Tarquini said 21,800 films had been tagged with the F rating on IMDb. Okay, by who? By IMDb staff? Or by users? This means nothing. Film information site IMDb gets more than 250 million visitors a month. Well, okay. What does that have to do with the F rating? It's to make the article sound less unimportant, is what it is, right? Okay. The caption of this picture, Holly Tarquini said IMDb founder and chief executive Carl Needham was very supportive of the F rating. Okay, so was that quote from some time when he was talking to her? Maybe? I don't know. Ms. Tarquini said the F rating is intended to make people talk about the representation of women on and off screen. It's exciting when new organizations decide to join us in shining a light both on the brilliant work women are doing in film and on how far the film industry lags behind most other industries when it comes to providing equal opportunities to women. So it's exciting when new organizations join you. Does that mean IMDb has joined you? And I mean IMDb as a company, not the CEO likes the idea of what you're doing, but I mean, is IMDb the company investing employee time in implementing your F rating alongside, say, the MPAA ratings on the movie listings? Or not? I mean, these mentions of the CEO liking it and how many users IMDb gets really make it sound like you're saying that the IMDb company is actually taking steps to implement this. You're linking together the leadership of IMDb with this concept. But there is no direct statement that IMDb actually is doing something. And it goes on for a little bit longer about some less relevant stuff, mostly about the cinemas that have adopted this rating system. But at the bottom, keep this in mind, we have some films meet all three criteria with significant women on screen in their own right and are written and directed by women. Those with the triple rating include Frozen, American Honey, Bridget Jones's Baby. Other films with the rating include those directed or written by women. Animal Farm, Kung Fu Panda 2, Girl on the Train, Freaky Friday, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, and Metropolis. Keep that list in mind. So the next one I want to look at is the Bath Chronicle. This is a local paper for the city where the Bath Film Festival happens, which is who Holly Tarquini, the lady who created this F rating, represents. A new F rating. Can I just point out how terrible it is to give films an F rating when you're trying to say they're a good thing? Anyway, a new F rating for films, which highlights the role of women in films, has been adopted by dozens of cinemas and the industry bible IMDb. Okay, so IMDb has adopted the F rating. What does that mean? Does that mean IMDb as a company is implementing a new feature for it? Does it mean they've put out a statement saying that the company approves of it? What exactly are you saying? Well, let's see. The symbol has been adopted by 40 UK cinemas and festivals, and now the online database IMDb has tagged 21,800 films with the F rating. IMDb has tagged them. So IMDb dedicated employee time to tagging 21,800 films. Is that what they've done? Is there an IMDb statement? Is there something from the company that says we dedicated our employees to doing all of this work because we believe in the F rating cause? The answer, by the way, of course, is no. Ms. Tarquini said, blah blah blah. It's exciting when new organizations decide to join us in... Okay. Same quote as on the BBC article. And down here, some films have even been awarded a triple F rating to indicate movies written, directed, and starred by women. They include Disney's Frozen, Bridget Jones's Baby, The Girl on the Train, Kung Fu Panda 2, and Metropolis. Those are the same movies from the list from the BBC, except some of those weren't in the triple F category on the BBC article. But it still seems to me like they're taking this straight from the BBC. IMDb founder Carl Needham, who lives near Bath, said, "The F rating is a great way to highlight women on screen and behind the camera." Same totally out of context quote with no indication of where it comes from whatsoever, who he was talking to, under what circumstances, whether he was talking about anything his company's actually going to do, nothing. And now, The Independent. IMDb adds F rating to feminist films. So IMDb added the rating themselves, is what you're asserting. So hopefully there's going to be some kind of evidence. Maybe a blog post, news post from IMDb, maybe a tweet, something, anything. Because I actually went through their Twitter account and found nothing. I went through their news and found nothing except for an article posted by one of their news partners, which really doesn't mean anything because that's not them posting it. So hopefully you have something independent. 21,800 films have been tagged with an F rating so far. That's true, but that doesn't tell you that IMDb added it. And look at that logo, F-rated. Put that on a movie case, I'm sure it'll really increase your sales. The Internet Movie Database, IMDb, which sees more than 250 million visitors per month, again, I have no idea why that's relevant, has adopted the F rating system to signpost films that were directed by women, written by women, and or passed the Bechdel test. It's adopted a system, has it? Where have they actually said that they've adopted this system? I'm curious. It was invented by Bath Film Festival director Holly Tarquini in 2014 and has since been picked up by more than 40 cinemas and festivals across the UK. Isn't that just about verbatim from the BBC article? This is like a bunch of high school students plagiarizing off each other. The F rating is a great way to highlight women on screen and behind the camera, IMDb founder and CEO Carl Needham said. Again, that was in both of the other articles. And again, no more information because The Independent is not actually doing journalism. They're not going out and finding where this comes from. They don't even think to ask. It's not like they reached out to Carl Needham and asked for a comment, a little bit of clarification. No. It was in the BBC, so fuck it. 21,800 films have been tagged with an F rating so far, the criteria for which are as follows. Film directed by, written by, features women. Yeah. List of movies. Frozen, American Honey, and Bridget Jones's Baby have earned a triple rating. Metropolis, Kung Fu Panda, The Girl on the Train, Freaky Friday, Animal Farm, and Gentlemen Prefer Blondes are also F-rated, which is exactly the list from the BBC. The F rating is intended to make people talk about the representation of women on and off screen, Tarquini said, triggering an eerie case of deja vu in the audience. It's exciting when new organizations decide to join us in How many times do I have to read the same goddamn article? Now, there are several articles in the entertainment media too, the serious bottom feeders, and I won't go over most of those, but in this case I will, because The Wrap is an IMDb news partner, which means I guess the IMDb thinks they're a good source for entertainment news, although they don't speak for IMDb, they're a separate thing. IMDb adds F rating system to highlight role of women in film. So now they've added a whole new system. They're not just using a system, some kind of a rating system. No, they've actually added a system to their website. This is getting more and more ridiculous. But I gotta read it because I'm trying to figure out the true information. A film that is either directed by a woman, written by a woman, or features significant women on screen in their own right will be tagged with new rating. What, automatically? Or are you saying that there are users who might want to tag it? I'll show you the tags on Frozen afterwards. That's the main example they keep using. You can see from the tags, it's not exactly a rigorous process here. The Internet Movie Database has adopted the F rating system to highlight the role of women in film. I thought you said they added a system. So have they adopted the F rating system and implemented a new system to facilitate the rating of films with the F rating system? Or what? According to The Independent, well, okay, so they admit they're just copy-pasting. The system was invented by Bath Film Festival director Holly Tarquini in 2014 and has since been picked up by 40 movie theaters and festivals in the United Kingdom. It's like a broken record. 21,800 films have been tagged with the F rating so far on IMDb, a site which sees more than 250 million visitors per month. Again, no mention of who did the tagging. Again, no mention of the relevance of the visitor counts per month. A film that is either directed by a woman, written by a woman, or features significant women on screen in their own right will be tagged with the new rating. Again, no mention of whether this is some automated thing or whether it's just a tag that can be added by the users, like every other tag. Films like Frozen, American Honey, and, audience, Bridget Jones's Baby have been triple tagged given that they satisfy all three requirements. Other marked films include Freaky Friday, Kung Fu Panda 2, and The Girl on the Train. You know, considering that you can just fucking go to IMDb, type in F-rated, and get a list of 21,800 films, you would think maybe one of these so-called news organizations would have actually gone and, like, generated their own list. It's not like they're lacking for options. The F rating is a great way to highlight women on screen and behind the camera, IMDb founder and CEO Carl Needham said. I know. The F rating is intended to make people talk about the representation of women on and off screen, Tarquini said. It's exciting when new organizations decide to join us in shining a fucking light on the fucking brilliant fucking work women are doing. Fuck. Pretty much the exact same article appears other places as well. Just go to Google News, look it up, sort it by date, you'll find them. And the amateurishness of this is ridiculous. This is high school gossip level bullshit. But the reason I really want to bring it up is that I want to get in before all the screaming hysteria that is going to follow this. And just as I'm making this video, as I'm working on it, I checked Google News again, and guess where the same goddamn article from The Independent and the BBC appears? Breitbart. Yep, the conservative counter-narrative. And guess what it says? Let's go through it together. IMDb adds special F rating system for feminist films. Picture a Ghostbusters. The Internet Movie Database, IMDb, is adding an F rating for any film that features a female director, a female writer, sees significant women on screen in their own right, or passes the Bechdel test. Copy-pasted. The F rating is a great way to highlight women on screen and behind the camera, IMDb founder and CEO Carl Needham said. Copy-pasted. The Feminist rating system was first introduced by Bath Film Festival director Holly Tarquini in 2014 and has since been used by more than 40 cinemas and festivals across the United Kingdom, according to The Independent. Yeah, because you copy-pasted this article from The Independent. Best case, you changed a few words around. The F rating is intended to make people talk about the representation of women on and off screen, Tarquini said. Then it tells a little bit about the Bechdel test. Hey, that's new. The new rating has been attached to worldwide blockbusters, including, guess what list of movies? To date, about 21,800 films on IMDb have the F rating tag. Guess what Ms. Tarquini is gonna say? It's exciting when new organizations blah 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 blah. But our real goal is to blah blah blah. And in case that wasn't bad enough, IMDb sees about 250 million page views every month. The pointless stat. The popular film website is currently fighting a California law which requires it to agree to individual requests to remove the ages of directors, producers, actors, and writers on the site. Okay, that's also pointless. You're going to see this on Twitter, you're probably going to see it on YouTube. This kind of thing is why I go and look for the facts. So let's go on talking about the facts. Okay, so the problems there are obvious, right? I pointed a lot of them out already. These different outlets are just copying the same poorly contextualized points from each other without even bothering to do the little bit of fact-checking some individual weirdo like me on YouTube is capable of. It doesn't even seem like they talked to anyone at IMDb or looked at the IMDb website themselves. So to be honest, the fact that I typed imdb.com into my browser makes me a better journalist than them. All of them, except the BBC, directly state that IMDb as a company was responsible for adding the tags, some even going so far as to say they'd added a new system. The BBC also implies that IMDb itself had something to do with it, and as evidence they all cite the CEO's brief statement made somewhere, sometime, to someone, in some context, that they don't say, that he likes the F rating idea, which of course does nothing whatsoever to support the idea that IMDb dedicated its employees' time to adding 21,800 new plot keywords to movies. Now, after I heard about this morning, I thought, okay, you know what? That sounds weird. I'm just going to visit IMDb and look for the F rating on the movie listings mentioned in the articles, because based on the wording of those articles, it sounded like a new feature that IMDb was putting on the movie pages, and so I went to see if the movie pages had it, and it just wasn't there. I looked all over the place. I thought maybe it's beside the MPAA rating. That would make sense, right? You have an age rating and you have a feminist rating. Nope. After a bit of looking around, I finally figured out what this F-rating system that IMDb had supposedly added actually was, which is a plot keyword, which any user can add. Now, I said I was going to show you the tags for Frozen. Here they are. And oh yeah, you know, obviously these all went through a really rigorous review process. Snow, troll, ice, barn, castle, dungeon, book, saw, shadow. Oh, and F-rated. Yeah, I mean, getting a tag on a movie on IMDb isn't exactly rocket science. IMDb is maintained by the users. Here, I'll show you how to do it. So the fact that people who are into this idea, this cause of F-rating, would go and put tags on movies isn't exactly remarkable. It doesn't require IMDb employees to have done it, and there's no evidence that they did. There is one thing, though, which is that if we look at the instructions for keyword submission, we find that IMDb at least made one change in favor of the F-rating. The guide mentions that there are some keywords with a specific meaning, and as the example, it uses F-rating. That's not actually the correct keyword. The correct keyword is F-rated, not F-rating. But, you know, close enough, right? So, at the very least, yes, the company put 5 minutes of employee time into changing this page to add a note with the misspelled keyword. So hey, you know, maybe this counts as adding a new system to IMDb and deserves to make the news? There's no other evidence from IMDb itself that the rest of the tags were added by the company's employees. There's no statement from IMDb, either on its website or on Twitter, that it added the tags. The article from The Wrap that I read is mirrored on IMDb's news page because The Wrap is one of their news partners. And yeah, The Wrap does say that IMDb added the F-rated tag, but that's not IMDb making a statement. That's just one of their news partners posting an article. So the evidence from IMDb itself regarding the supposed new F-rating system on their website only shows that IMDb added a misspelled version of the keyword as an example on the keyword instruction page, and then someone, probably not the employees, probably users interested in the F-rating idea, added plot keywords to movies, which is quite a far cry from the claims being made by the BBC, The Independent, and Breitbart. So the only place left for me to turn to figure out the truth of the situation was to the people involved in this, and I knew that IMDb wasn't going to reply to a request for comment from someone like me. I'm just not important enough. So instead, I tweeted at the F-rated Twitter account, which only has, I think, about 1,500 followers. And they followed me back, but they didn't respond to my request for a comment even after I direct messaged them on Twitter to ask if the keywords were added by IMDb employees or by volunteer users. So it might seem a little bit cynical, but based on the news coverage as well as their own presentation of the news, which tries to make it sound like IMDb really did add a new system with the F rating, I don't think the F-rated Twitter account really wants the real answer to that question to be made clear to the public. If those people happen to see this and they want to clarify, they're more than welcome to contact me. The reality that the BBC, The Independent, Breitbart, and these other organizations didn't bother to communicate or just didn't bother to find out is as simple as this. IMDb has a CEO who likes the idea of a feminist rating system for movies. IMDb added a note in an obscure instruction page that the keyword F rating has a specific meaning, and they didn't even get that keyword right because it's actually F rated. And aside from that, there's no evidence that the company did anything else beyond that. So if you happen to hear about IMDb implementing a new system to tag all the feminist-friendly movies on their website, or putting a rating on their movie pages to tell you if it's feminist-friendly, you can probably just ignore it. It's just more fake news. Now, in real news, I'm working on a Muslim debunk, so that should be up soon. Just check back if you don't see it in your subfeed. And any donations on Patreon are very much appreciated. It really helps keep this ball rolling. And subscribe, thumb up the video, and I will see you soon.